Our last activity of Advisors Webinar Surviving the Pandemic Challenges in 2020 features a different panel that includes diversity, inclusion, and connectivity between various business cultures. I'm thrilled and excited to invite leaders from 4 project management organizations.
Ladies and gentlemen, hello. My name is Amin Saidoun. I'm the Executive Director of IPMA, and it will be a great pleasure for me to be at the panel discussion of advisors talking about strategy on projects 2021 and beyond.
Hello everyone, this is Dr. Mohammad Askar, the President of Kuwait Project Management Society. I am honored to have been invited by Advisors Company for the panel on December 30th.
Hello everybody, I am Behija Torun from Istanbul Project Management Association in Turkey. I would like to welcome each one of you to the webinar organized by the Advisors Group. We will be discussing about the strategy for managing projects in 2021 and beyond.
Hi, this is Mustafa Fuzul. I'll be attending Advisors webinar on strategy for managing projects in 2021 and beyond. As the organizer of the first Project Management Office Summit in Turkey, I'll be talking about future PMOs. So I'm looking forward to seeing you.
Okay. Good evening, my dear, again. Good evening, everybody. I welcome everyone to our interesting night, which is about partnership and collaboration between Kuwait Project Management Society and advisors. I'd like to welcome our dear friend, Dr. Mohammad Askar, President of KPMS.
Thank you so much, Dr. Saadi, for joining us with this and making this happen. It's a great pleasure for me to start with this event for our new season in KPMS, and we are proud to partner with Advisors Company, which is headed by Dr. Saadi.
Thank you, my dear. We are very proud and happy. I'm going to give you the lead to start after you speak about KPMS, because we have 2 types of audience tonight. Of course, we have our dear members at KPMS in our first joint activity together. And also we have some of our dear followers and the ones who attend our webinars at Advisors. So we're going to start, my dear, with you, and then I will follow on with the webinar.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. So at the beginning, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Mohammad Askar Saoud. I'm the current president of an NGO in Kuwait. It's called Kuwait Project Management Society. And in short, we say KPMS. Besides that, I am an assistant professor in Kuwait University, and specifically at the College of Business Administration and in the Department of Information Systems and Operations Management. So part of what I teach in the department is definitely project management, and definitely I have much interest in the topic and the area. Also, allow me to introduce our partner, Dr. Saadi Adra. He is the founder and CEO of Advisors, and he's an author, awards winner, speaker, and advisor and keynote speaker in many of the international events. Dr. Saadi has 30 years of experience in more than 15 countries around the world, and his areas of specialty include strategy implementation, PMO, portfolio, and the program and project management. Dr. Saadi also is PMP certified, SIP certified, among many other certifications, as you see in the slide here. So at the beginning of our session today, allow me again to give you an introduction about KPMS and our plans for the future. The way how I'm going to carry out the slides is as follows. I will be asking roughly 5 questions. We don't have to answer them in person or in the microphone, but this way I think these are the most important questions from the side of the audience. The first question is generic question. So, how many do you think NGOs and governmental agencies carry the name of the literal Arabic translation of the word project in Kuwait? The Arabic word is definitely مشروع or مشاريع. So I'm only so far talking about NGOs and governmental agencies. I'm not talking about companies. So I'm sure you have come up with at least 3, 4, 5, or 6 organizations which are NGOs or governmental agencies which carry the name of مشروع or مشاريع, which is the translation of project. But why am I bringing this question anyway? The reason is that the word مشروع in Arabic carries more than one meaning. So usually most of these organizations, if you think about it, they are concerned about SME, like small and medium enterprises, or SMB, small and medium businesses. So we need to differentiate between these 2 topics. Definitely the professionals are aware of the difference. And KPMS is the only Kuwaiti NGO that specializes in project management and not SME or SMB. So, what is KPMS? I will define it through our mission and goals. Our mission is to advance the practice and science and profession of project management. And we have many goals. I try to summarize them with the following goals: to promote project management, to help organizations apply best practices, support members and organizations, and further increase the value to members and stakeholders. The third question. Okay, for some reason, the question doesn't appear here, but anyway, the question is, what's in it for me? Everybody might ask, what's in it for me? Why does KPMS matter for me? And I will go through that question on 3 levels. As an individual, you can maintain and improve your project management knowledge. You can find unique training opportunities, networking opportunities, among other opportunities for individuals. For organizations, you can get customized training, technical sponsorship, or even support or consultation by KPMS. And on the national level, we hope to continue to support the committees, as we are already doing that, to help the country achieve successful projects that hopefully will change Kuwait and reach Kuwait to the vision of the Emir, inshallah. Okay, now which question? Is it the 4th? I think it's the 4th question. So what did KPMS accomplish so far? So, Alhamdulillah, KPMS has accomplished many things. Among them is successfully running many of the events with diverse topics. Another thing, we have managed to establish the necessary infrastructure to run the society. We have joined the project's evaluation committees, and we could manage also to build a network of sponsors and partners who have common interest with our society. So, last question. What is coming up for KPMS? First thing that's coming up is the elections. The second thing, we are planning to widen our membership base so that we really represent the professionals in project management in Kuwait. Also, we plan to further implement such webinars, hopefully site visits in the future. And we already partnered with advisors. We are working on representing IPMA, and also we are working on having some sort of partnership with PMI. And as you know, PMI and IPMA are the leading organizations for project management worldwide. Also, we've managed to have the sponsorship of Microsoft. Of course, this is the effort of the team, not my personal effort. And also we got the sponsorship of many organizations. You can see a list of logos on top of this slide. Also, we aim to have public influence and outreach. We aim to have subject matter experts who can help the government or organizations at difficult times. Also, we aim to have a certification body, hopefully, in the future. But aside from all of these details and formalities, I want to emphasize the following. KPMS is not my society. KPMS is not the board member society. This is your society, the professionals in project management. Our dream in KPMS, and we hope that you share the same dream with us. Our dream, especially during this difficult time on the national and international levels, is to do our part and take responsibility. And with your invaluable support, we will empower the voice of professionalism and professionals in project management. And as you know, one of the major tools to change a nation is through running successful projects. Finally, I would like to share the link for membership. You can use this link, and I believe it will be shared on the chat. In addition, we have an Instagram, Twitter, and website. So without any further ado, I would like to give the mic to Dr. Saadi for his interesting presentation on how to cope with the pandemic using portfolio management. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, my dear. This has been very interesting. I'm sure that KPMS will provide a lot to the project management community, networking, spreading awareness, spreading the knowledge, partnering, and inshallah will be one of the leading organizations in the Middle East and over. Thank you, my dear. And we are very happy and proud to be one of your first partners. This is a privilege to advisors.
That's of our pleasure, Doctor. I'll leave the mic to you.
Thank you, my dear. Thank you. So, just very quickly, for those who do not know us, Advisors is a private company that specializes in project management, and we have a drive. And our drive is simply 5 things. We believe in crafting and sharing authentic knowledge that makes our organizations better. We take joy in networking our partners with the thought leaders of our domain. And by partners, this is you. This is no more clients, it's only partners. We feel pride in enhancing our partners' lives through strategy, consulting, and education. We do this with integrity and professionalism yesterday, today, and tomorrow. And again, we have no clients, only partners. By this, let me start with my presentation tonight, which is about how organizational leaders can survive and recover from the pandemic. And it is composed of 2 parts. The first part is quick. The second part is a little bit longer. And the first part speaks to the leader who should start with himself. So if we're talking about organizational leader, what about the leader? Now, before we start this, I have the first poll, because we'll have, as usual, 5 polls tonight. So let me start. And the poll, you can go to the polls and select one of the answers. Don't answer on the chat, please, directly on the poll. Make your selection. So It is under the risk of extinction that organizations focus on what? Is it change, transformation change? Is it survival, layoff, cutting cost? Is it re-strategizing for the post-catastrophe? Is it reviewing the philosophy, mission, and vision of the organization? Is it that let's lay down, wait for the storm to pass, or maybe let's abandon ship? So let me have a look at the results so far. They are almost stabilizing. I'll give it 5 more seconds. Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And let's end the poll. So 38% said transformational change. Of course, when things are hard, it's time to do the change. But one thing, this is a tricky question, because I believe most of these answers in a certain situation are correct. Change, of course. Survival, layoffs, and cutting costs, this is part of survival, and it is part of change. Now, I know many organizations, what they did, they cut off the fat. The resources that were not useful before could not stay on the ship during the hard times. But the ones who were actually anchored, they remained on the ship in the organization. Re-strategizing for post-catastrophe, now this is something really strategic. Together with reviewing the philosophy, mission, and vision. Why? We are changing, we need to adapt. Leaders should not only think about the survival, they should think about the survival and the recovery that will come after the survival. So they have to have like 2 eyes, work on 2 levels simultaneously. Now lay down and wait for the storm to pass, maybe if the organization is very small, or abandon ship. This abandon ship is an option for those who were not successful before. So maybe it's time to reset and think about something new. But I don't abandon ship if I do have a running organization, even if I have many challenges in front of me. So this year has been a year of catastrophe. Some people were forced to leave their towns, others by like floods and disasters, others by corruption and other factors. Then lots suffered due to lack of the supply chain, especially on the food side. And the pandemic hit us hard and hard now with the second wave. Of course, this all affected our economy and our financial situations. So what do? As leaders, we panic. What do? We put our heads under the sand, just like the ostrich. Let us borrow a quote from Jim Collins. You know Jim Collins, he has lots of books, great writer in terms of management. And he's saying, whether you prevail or fail, endure or die, depends more on what you do to yourself than on what the world does to you. Oh, big one. So it's all about you. Whatever is going around you, the solution is within you. It starts with you. Yes, challenges can make life hard, and it is not easy to survive. Nevertheless, it's all inside your head and your heart. And this is where you have to start. So change comes from within. The will to survive and the will to recover. And why not flourish and grow afterwards? In this perspective, you should be very careful for your organization as a leader. Do not be your worst enemy. How can some leaders be their worst enemy? I've seen organizations, what do? When they are hit hard, they start by laying off the most expensive resources. Now, the most expensive resources could be expensive, really, if they are not efficient. But if they are leaders, if they are efficient, instead of giving them the chance to work with you and survive the pandemic, then fly together later on, you get rid of them. What do? It's like shooting yourself in the foot, or like our fellow guy who's just cutting the branch of the tree. So my message to many of the leaders of today, take care. It starts inside your head. What do you say to the negative committee that meets inside your head? Sit down and shut up. And let us think positively. In every situation, no matter how hard, there is a certain opportunity. An opportunity to survive in the beginning, then maybe grow later on. So, with respect to our leader, again, a quote from Marshall Goldsmith. Marshall Goldsmith, this guy, he has the 100 coaches and he's an author for, I believe, like 60 books. He's talking about the successful leaders. They learn to shift the focus from themselves to others. Others spoke about leading with passion. And this is very important, especially in the era of survival. Passion is a very important trait for the surviving leader, because with passion, you keep people around you. With passion, financials do not matter as a prime thing in terms of like salaries and packages and whatnot. If they feel you are there together, they will have patience with you. You can survive and then rebuild your organization in a better manner. But to do that, we have to be focused, as my friend Antonio Nieto Rodriguez. Antonio, for those of you who know him or do not know him, he's currently writing the project management new handbook for Harvard Business Review. He's also one of Thinkers 50. He was the chair for PMI board of directors and an international speaker. One of his books is called The Focused Organization. And from the title, he says how concentrating on a few key initiatives can dramatically improve strategy execution. Under the survival mode, now he was talking not in survival, in normal mode. So under survival mode, this becomes even more important. We need to utilize the Pareto rule, the 80-20 rule, or the rule of sacrifice in marketing, whereby we focus. This is why portfolio management is very important. We're going to speak about it in a bit later on in much more detail. This is why selecting the top most important things for you, for yourself and your organization is key and critical for the survival of your organization. And back again to Jim Collins, because I love his quote. He's talking about greatness. And he talks about greatness because he did research and a book called From Good to Great. And he tried to define what is a great company. And within one of his quotes, he's talking about it's not a circumstantial thing. It does not happen by coincidence or by chance. It is based on what? Conscious choice and discipline. Discipline to fight every day from morning till night, okay? To work together with your team, to have resilience, okay? Together, to have endurance, and to survive together as a team. We're gonna come back to the team thing in a bit. Then one of the important traits, which is rather strategic for our surviving leader. I said before, he has to have two eyes. He needs to have an eye on the things near to him or her, because a leader can be a she as much as he can be a he. So he or she, they need to look at the things near to them. Survival, how can I survive in the coming 2, 3, 6 months? But at the same time, they should always keep an eye on the macro level, because we are looking for sustainability beyond the survival. This is why I love this quote by Miyamo Musashi, if I pronounce it right. He's a legendary, whatever, swordsman, Japanese swordsman. He's saying when perception is strong and sight weak, in strategy, it is important to see distant things as if they were close and to take a distanced view of close things. Very philosophical, but very strong in terms of strategy. Sometimes things are so near to us, we do not see it. Taking a holistic picture or view will tell us, especially under the survival mode, whether or not we've been wasting too much time on the things that are not so important, and whether or not there is an opportunity, and maybe the opportunity can start within the era of the pandemic. And of course, after we assess our situation and cleanse our mindset, one of the important things is to identify problems, but put 90% of our power and energy on solutions, not too much on problems. If you want to know a lot about problems, just go and see the news. One of the ways that helped me and my company survive is to stop seeing the news. It just tells me what I already know, and it utilizes my morale. I'd rather spend it with my team on the things that would make me happy. This is why I love to end this first part with George Clooney's famous saying from his movie, which is about at what point were you going to stop and go back to what made you happy? So as a leader in your organization, after you make your morale better and your team, think about what makes you happy as a team, where your passion is. This is very important for survival. This is very, very important for even more than survival. It is important for growth. By this, it takes me to the second part, how organization leaders can survive and recover from the pandemic through adaptive portfolio management and strategy implementation. And here, this is, if you like, the first part was the soft part, and this is the hard part, but you're going to find interesting frameworks and models inside. So we do this through seven actually steps, or a framework of 7 frameworks, if you like, to help you revolutionize your organization and implement your strategy. And within these 7 steps, we're going to speak about each one of them to list them quickly. Start with directors and sponsors. Start from the top. Leadership is very important. You cannot transform an organization if you do not start from the top. Yes, implementation and execution always starts from the bottom, but the vision, the leadership, the governance, the empowerment, the will to change, and the proper communication for all that should always start from the top. So start with the directors and sponsors. Find how they can work together on managing projects and operations. The second one is to implement portfolio management for both projects and operations. We're going to speak about the supply and demand pipelines. Then base your strategy implementation scheme on value, on achieving benefit and sustaining benefit, on fusing and integrating this with portfolio management within your selection criteria. And number 4, what starts right can end right. Most of our projects, the ones that failed, when we do an assessment for them, look back, we can trace back the problems to the early phases within initiation. So if you know how to initiate your projects right, then you are on the right track to succeed. And we're going to speak about 2 perspectives, owner perspective and contractor perspective. And number 5, again, integrate both operations and projects. You're going to find this theme of integrating projects and operations exists within all the 7 frameworks, all the 7 points. This is paramount. This is important. We cannot work in silos. We have to work in an integrated manner. And number 6, foster agile, nimble, and adaptive culture. Your culture should change. You should be customer-centric. Empower your employees. Learn how to fail quickly and learn from your failure, and have a strategy that can change easily and quickly to the right direction. And last thing is digitalization to realize your strategy. By now, we all learned, maybe due to the pandemic, if not before, that this is the future. So we should have a vision for it and for our operation, culture, customer, and be future ready. So this is the 7 points to start on each one. The first one is with the directors and sponsors, and it gets me to the why. This is where we should all start. It's easy to work on how, or actually what. We will offer this and that, and we'll offer it through this and this. But why? Why are you offering it? What is it that makes you better than others in offering this type of service or product? Why should clients come to you? I believe leaders should start by asking this question. It's a very important, it's a critical question. It's the place to start from, the why. And if we want to start from the why, let's take the normal framework we know within an organization whereby we have our vision, mission, organization strategy, and objectives. And under it, usually we have a department for operations or a unit, and another unit for projects. And under the projects, we manage projects and programs and activities, and under operations, we manage the daily, ongoing, recurring activities. And in this model, we both share our scarce organizational resources, whether they are financial resources, human capital, facilities, even intellectual resources. So in this manner, the problem with this model that we've been working with, within many functional structures in our organizations, it causes silos. There is no integration, there is competition over resources and funds. And how would this help us achieve our strategy? When we are competing, instead of collaborating together to serve our client better, we are competing inside the organization, each one trying to preserve his silo, to preserve his kingdom, instead of working in an integrated manner. So this does not work anymore. Instead, we should find a way whereby we can manage both our projects and operations in an integrated manner. And what better than have a portfolio that manages both, whereby our directors and our sponsors work together, hand in hand. It's not that I'm responsible for projects and you are responsible for operations. We together are responsible for the success of the organization. We together are responsible for both projects and operations, because they work back to back, just like two faces of the coin. Organizations cannot live without either one of them. So they should work together in a seamless manner. One produces the capabilities, which is the projects, and the other uses the capabilities to produce benefits and value, which is the operations. We need, they say it takes two to tango. In fact, I have a nice article about it takes two to tango. Then going back to the concept I spoke about, from good to great, we borrow his framework, which speaks about this flywheel. And the beautiful thing about this framework is that it was discovered through a research that included hundreds of top companies in the world, until they found that there is a common factor for the organizations that stayed successful over decades after changing multiple CEOs. And they have 6 factors in common, which is level 5 leadership, the leader that generates leaders. First who, then what, thinking about the talented people before thinking what will they do. Okay, and we're gonna go back to Jack Ma in a bit because he focuses on the same thing as well. If you get somebody who's smart, he will tell you what to do. Then confront the brutal facts. He says the disciplined people, disciplined thought, disciplined action. Confront the brutal facts, discover yourself and your context and your organization and your environment. Understand your SWOT, your strengths and weaknesses, opportunities and whatnot. And discover your hedgehog concept. I'm gonna visit this. And after that, you start on the breakthrough. You need to have discipline, both discipline and technology will help at the end. You know, technology, we're gonna visit it in a bit at the end of this session, but the famous saying is garbage in, garbage out. Technology is an accelerator. If you have everything wrong, it will make your collapse even quicker. But if you have it right, it will help you fly high. So based on this, I chose to focus on the hedgehog concept. Why the hedgehog concept? Now the hedgehog, it has a nice story, which is, you know, the hedgehog or the kunfu, we say it in Arabic. The fox wants to eat it, and it wakes up in the morning and wants to go to the river to drink some water. And the fox, he's happy because today he will have a hedgehog for breakfast. So he attempts to attack the hedgehog. And what does the hedgehog do in defense of itself? It makes itself like a ball. And the fox attempts to attack it, and he only hurts his hands. So he goes back a little bit, and the hedgehog continues the way to the river, and the fox attempts to make another attack on the hedgehog, only to hurt itself, because the hedgehog does only one thing. It makes itself defensive like a ball. And as long as the fox attacks and the hedgehog defenses with the means which it can do better than anyone else in the world. It can do it by nature, the way God created it. The fox will never be able to eat the hedgehog. This is the hedgehog concept. So the hedgehog concept is based on what? Looking at three things. What you are deeply passionate about. Remember when we started in the first section, what makes us happy? This is important. If you're doing something because it's your job and you have to do it, you don't like it, you will never excel in it. If you want to excel and make something amazing and an achievement over for yourself, before we say over others, you have to love it, you have to like it, you have to have passion in it. So whatever you do, it becomes like the thing that makes you happy. And if I'm doing something that makes me happy, you're going to have to spend a lot of effort to take me away from it. And the second thing in our self-discovery is to look on what we can be the best in the world at. We can do many things, but maybe one of the things that we have perfected, we are doing better than many others. And we are doing it at ease. Maybe it's complex, maybe it's hard, but to us, we do it in a seamless manner, and we do it with excellence, and we have passion around it. Now, number three, were we able to discover the engine, the commercial engine, the economic engine that can get us financial payback, for example, on it? If yes, if we discovered these three circles, their intersection, this is our hedgehog concept. This is what we should do. And this is what we should focus on. And this is what will help us in what I said before, which is about the Pareto rule or the 80-20 rule or the rule of sacrifice. This is where we should put all of our effort and drop everything else. And by doing so, we would have imitated the great companies, the companies that remained on top of all the other companies, despite the fact they changed many CEOs over multiple decades, just because they focused and learned what their hedgehog is. And believe me, it's not easy, and it's not something you can learn if you are a startup in your first 2 months. It takes many years to discover your own hedgehog. And before I go to the second part, which is portfolio management, I'm going to start with the second poll. So the second poll is about, let me start it first. Okay. It's about portfolio management and your organization. And I'd like you to tell me about your organizations. Whether or not, which one of these 4 status you are. Your organization is not aware about or of portfolio management. Number 2, we have been considering portfolio management, but maybe did not start yet, but we are curious about it. Number 3, we implement portfolio management to manage and execute our projects. And number 4, we implement portfolio management for realizing the strategy through both projects and operations. So let us have a look at the poll results, and they almost stabilized. So I'm gonna end the poll. Wow, I'm happy. I've asked this question before in other webinars, and this is the highest number I've ever seen, which is 33% using portfolio management to realize their strategy via both projects and operations. This is high maturity. This is an objective for the other 2/3 to achieve. It is good to use portfolio management for executing projects. We've been teaching people how to do that for the past 2 decades, but it's not enough. Because projects, when they deliver their outputs or deliverables, the project managers go away. And whatever they delivered remains in the hands of operational people. And if they don't know how to realize the benefits, they will not provide the needed value, and hence they will not be able to realize the strategy. So we discovered that projects and programs by themselves, they do not realize these strategic objectives, but by the capabilities and outcomes for what they deliver, only if operational people are ready and fit enough to know how to utilize them properly, we can realize our strategy. This is why, my dear friends and colleagues, I've been focusing on it takes 2 to tango. You cannot succeed using only one of these 2. So to start on portfolio management, okay, portfolio management, to speak quickly, this is like a 3 or 4 minutes crash course on what portfolio management is for those who do not know what portfolio management is about. It has a life cycle, and within the life cycle, we have initiation, planning, execution, and optimization. Take care. It's not something temporary. Projects are temporary. Programs are long-term, but they are temporary. Portfolio, it is not temporary. It is a management discipline. It is there as long as there is an organization and the organization has a strategy, and our aim and objective is to realize this strategy. So this life cycle is an ongoing life cycle. And within this life cycle, we find we have important functions. Like during initiation, this is where we conduct a feasibility or a business case to decide or not, should we invest as an organization in this project or area or type of work. And until now, there is no project manager. Sometimes there are program managers here. It depends on the definition. Now, in planning, after identifying lots of potential investments which are feasible or has a positive business case, we might select the top ones based on our capability and capacity. We cannot do everything. So we need to have some sort of weighing or scoring scheme to select, again, the Pareto rule, the ones that will provide the most impact for our strategy realization. And here we authorize, and once we authorize, we have charters. Now we have our dear project managers, because this is where charters come from. And during execution, what will happen is that within projects and programs, we are providing performance reports and KPIs. And these go up to the level of the portfolio. And what they do is they monitor the health of their investments within these reports. And why do they monitor the health of their investments? Because our resources are scarce, and if we don't utilize them properly, then maybe we have a better option where to put our investment in. This is why in the optimum part, which is in the life cycle optimization, we have one of two things. The successful projects and programs will provide their outputs and deliverables and outcomes, and programs maybe even the benefits. And we close these projects and hand them over to operations. But at the same time, we take here a decision for the projects that are not running properly and they do not have a good chance of success. Let's kill these projects and programs. And this is one of the most important things a portfolio manager does. So if you look at this framework, you find that under it, you have maybe processes for program management, for project management, for agile project management, whatever methodology is required. It depends on the industry and the needs of every specific investment or type of project. No matter what type, they all work with the same portfolio management layer. And if you are going to integrate both operations and projects, how do we do that? Think about demand and supply, and dissect your organization as a demand portfolio and a supply portfolio. You know, supply, this is my power, this is my skills, this is my people, this is my organization, these are my strengths, okay? And in the demand side, this is the request from my clients to have my services. This is where we deliver projects, whether you are in the public sector or the private sector. The only difference is that in the public sector, our clients are called beneficiaries or citizens, whereas in the private sector, we call them clients. And nowadays, most of the governments are utilizing either public-private partnership or working more like the private sector in order to enhance and optimize their delivery. So under the supply portfolio, you will have transformational projects that change the organization to remain young, remain competitive, and the operations. And under demand portfolio, you have demand operations to bring on new projects. You have development projects also, and you have delivery projects, and there are lots of examples under each one. I'm not gonna go through this in detail now because we don't have enough time for it. Now, the other thing you focus on when you do your optimization in portfolio management is a very important, very vital function. One of the most important functions for the leader who wants to survive and flourish is what? Look at waste and resources and look at waste and lost opportunities. When you look at your resources, the first circle shows the unused capacity. This is our supply. Like I have, for example, 100 engineers and only 10 or 20 of them are billable. And on the other hand, the demand, the resource requirement, maybe they need things, but I'm not ready for them. Maybe we are outdated. Because we are outdated, we are not able to utilize these 80 engineers. Whereas there is a need for an 80 engineers, but with a different caliber. So to understand and work on the resource management and the capacity and capability, this is vital. This means the difference between staying alive, surviving, or closing, and as well, not only surviving, and recovery, and even growing large later on. So we have processes here in portfolio optimization so that we attempt to look at ourselves and the market need in order to enhance our capabilities and capacity and increase the number of allocated resources and decrease unused capacity and unmet demand. And we keep on doing this until we reach a status of more and more allocated resources. This is where you make much more money or results or benefit using the same expenditure you have. This is why one of the most important investments you do is the ones that you do to yourself and to your team and to your organization to become better, so you have more competitive edges, more appealing. You speak the language of the market, not only today, also be ready to provide what the market needs from you tomorrow. And this gets us to the third poll. And the third poll is about managing benefits. Managing benefits is a very, very important topic. I believe we've been hearing some about it in the past 2 or 3 years, but it's quintessential. We're gonna learn a lot and hear a lot about benefit management because it is essential for our growth and survival in the future. So benefit management and your organization. Tell me, please, we are not aware about benefit management discipline. We have been curious about benefit realization management. BRM is benefit realization management. We implement it for programs and project level. And number 4, we implement BRM at the executive level, all through execution for realizing strategy. So let me have a look at the polls, and it seems, yep. Sorry. Okay. It seems they have been reset, no problem. I was able to glimpse quickly okay. If you can please answer again. Thank you. Okay, I'll just give you five seconds because we have a lot of things to cover still tonight. Lots of interesting concepts with us. So it shows around 1/3 you implement benefit realization management at the executive level, all through execution for realizing strategy. Or actually it's 28%. And a lot of us implemented, do not know about it, around 1/3. Curious, okay, we need to do a lot of work. We do it at program and project level now. At another session, I'm gonna tell you, if you do it only at project and program level, it's not that efficient. You have to do it at the organizational level. We're gonna give you a quick answer now when we speak about benefit realization management. So if you look at this cycle within implementing benefit realization management, and we borrow this from PMI standards, they speak about strategy, where we have our goals, then you set the objectives or strategic objectives to realize your strategy, and select the initiatives which are portfolios of within projects and including projects and programs, and they provide outputs, the deliverables of and the results of these projects. Then when you put them into use, they provide outcomes. And when the organization or operation gets the outcomes and use it, it turns it into benefit. And then the benefit, if we did it in an optimized manner, not spending more than what we can earn, we can have actual value and realize our strategy. Now, the key here that makes us successful is to design all this cycle before we start. Before we start at the very beginning, while defining our strategy and making the selection, imagining what the benefits are, and based on them, do reverse engineering to select your initiatives, not the other way around. You do not select an initiative, a project, then attempt to find the benefit. As my friend from APMG says about managing benefits, if you look for benefits, guess what will happen? You will find benefits. But who said these are the benefits? These are justifications for your decisions, rather than to think about the benefit for the organization itself that you have to achieve. And maybe when you think about that, you discover that this initiative or project is not the optimum way to invest to achieve the benefit. You see, be focused on the end result before you have biases for specific selections. And here I borrowed the cycle of identify, quantify, appraise, plan, realize, and review, which is a result-based success measure, sustainability focused, and it is utilized within the managing benefit standard by APMG. And this gets us to our fourth poll. So our fourth poll is about initiating investments and your organization. Now, here I would like to ask, how do you initiate your projects and programs? Do you initiate them? Top management decide what to invest based on what they see is right. It's up to them. How do they make the selection? I don't know. Nobody knows. They have their own means. It's a secret. Number two, we do have a proprietary method to select investments that we've been working on before. Three, we use business case development or proposal development. Now, what's the difference? I'm going to speak about them in a bit now, on some critical investments. And number four, we have a formal business case and or proposal management lifecycle utilized for every single investment in our organization in a governed manner. So let us see the result of the poll. And okay, I'm gonna stabilizing. I'll just end it. So 43%, it's up to top management, and 12% they have their own manner, and only if you 25%, this is good. A quarter, they have formal, governed business cases, proposal management life cycle. You know, number four, why it's best. Look, guys, we are not judging anybody. Everyone should do his own assessment for his own organization and on self to identify what we lack and what we miss. And what we're talking about are frameworks that exist out there. They are under the reach of everybody to utilize. Knowledge is there, but it is organizations that are not aware about them. This is why they continue on doing things ad hoc. And the difference between ad hoc and a sustainable, disciplined manner of doing things is that ad hoc works as long as you have a smart guy or gal on top of things. But when this person leaves the organization, he or she will take their knowledge with them. And the rest of us will have to discover how to do things that our organization has been doing for the past 20 or 25 years from scratch. Whereas following a disciplined manner means we can get it right every time from the first time. So, to start on this, why do we focus on initiation? Focusing on initiation is important because in initiation, you have to know, number one, what your customer needs, not only what they ask for. So you should become your own client. Put yourself in the shoes of the client you are attempting to serve. And here I would like to borrow this value influence during project lifecycle framework. Let me just make this little, okay. Within this framework, within these 5 phases that we utilize a lot in a similar manner within maybe capital infrastructure and oil and gas projects, probably with more phases, we have what we call value identification and value realization. In the value identification phases, we have, within the early phases, we identify and assess the concept. Then we make a selection and define in detail. Then we award and we start to execute and then operate. And within this life cycle, if you look, we have A, B, C, and D. If you have a poor project definition and you execute in a perfect manner, you reach point C. If you execute badly, you reach point D. No much big difference. But if you have an excellent project definition in the beginning and you execute very well, you have A. If you have poor execution, you have B. So you see, even the poor execution for the properly defined investment is much better than excellent execution for the bad investment. This is why it is all in the initiation. If we want our projects to succeed more and our operations to be able to realize the value, we have to focus on the beginnings. This is very, very important. And here we borrow two models. There is a model for a business case and another one for proposal management. A business case, this shows the owner perspective. If you are the owner within the oil and gas or capital infrastructure or government or mega companies, and you want to investigate whether or not to invest in a certain project or area, there is a ready model made for the HM Treasury in the UK. And this model is about the business case. It has 5 aspects for its case: the strategic, economic, commercial, financial, and management. And guess what? It's a almost perfected framework. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You only have to learn how to use it properly. And they have two frameworks, one for project, the other for program. Whereas if you were on the side of the contractor, okay, there are many solutions there, but I present here Shipley because I know them. They've been working in proposal management since 1972, and they are one of the organizations that established APMP. APMP is the Association for Proposal Management Professional. Just like APMP, IPMA or PMI for project management, there is an organization for proposal management. And they have this interesting life cycle for managing proposals that has been proved to get you 83% win ratio, success ratio, which is great. Also, each one of these requires a different session. And this gets us to number 5, to integrate both operations and projects, which I've been talking a lot about. But how do you do this integration? And let us start with Michael Scott. He's talking about good collaboration boils down to personalities. There are two different distinct persons, one from the side of project management and the other one from the side of operations. They need to work well together. They need to integrate each other's notes and ideas without killing each other. Yes, this is the key. Without killing each other. This is a very important point. And this gets me to Jack Ma, former president for Alibaba, the founder for one of the top companies in the world. And what he's talking about of high modesty, he says, I always find people smarter than I am. His job is to make sure that smart people can work together. Because what he said next is that smart people do not work together, they fight, okay? Dumb people work together easily, much more easily than smart people, as he says. So how to get them to work together? Now you are a powerful leader if you can succeed in doing that. Because the more you are smart, the more you are stronger, usually people have more ego. And believe me, ego is the enemy of you and of your organization. And I believe the pandemic taught us a lot about putting our egos aside and working together for our good together, because nobody can succeed on his own, not during the pandemic. And definitely you cannot grow on your own. And by the way, Jobs, what he said, that great things in business are never done by one person, they are done by a team of people. And a team of people, what defines a team? People who trust each other, who work, not a group, a team, they trust each other. And trust is a key factor for collaboration. Now, when we get to the framework aspect, this is actually my framework of having the permanent organization, the portfolio, which has operations before and after projects, operations to initiate projects, and then operations to sustain the operation afterwards. And within it, inside, you have the cycle for programs and their projects and even sub-operations. But again, this is a long framework which we can discuss in more detail later on. And one of the frameworks we utilize to implement the integration is what we call the Agile Organizational Development Framework. Yeah. So within this framework, we do the assessment, we do the governance, then we attempt to do the normal things, which is process, software, and training. Then we do the rollout. But the important thing is know yourself. The assessment is very important. The governance is very important. Before you do these two things, you cannot join together and integrate in an agile manner both operations and projects. And then there is also the aspect of a PMO turning your project management office into a strategy realization office. I believe, as my friend Antonio Nieto Rodriguez always says and has been saying lately, PMOs very soon will be something of the past, and they will be replaced with strategy implementation offices. And what is the main thing or difference between these two? Is that strategy implementation can get you to work both on projects and operations. Will be focused on the value for the organization, for the sustainability of the organization, and it will require both to work together, projects and operations. And now for the sixth framework, we are only 2 to go, so we're gonna finish in like less than 10 minutes from now. To foster agile, nimble, and adaptive culture, being customer-centric, empower your employee, do rapid learning and adaptive strategy. And I've been using this Sun Tzu, the book, The Art of War, for long years before. Strategy without tactics is the slowest route to victory or route to victory. Tactics without strategy are the noise before defeat. I've seen lots of tactics without strategy. This is a fact. Now, the first one, strategy without tactics, is the slowest route to victory. I believe this was true before the pandemic, before the digitalization. But afterwards, the lion, what he says, count to 10, they said, I ate them. Nobody will wait for you. Sorry, Sun Tzu. If you're talking about something slow, it does not work anymore. Slow is like doing nothing. We have to work today, and we have to do it in a fast manner. We have to learn, we have to adapt, and we have to change. And this is why I'd love here to borrow again from Strategy Implementation Institute, the Strategy Implementation Roadmap, the one I've been talking about, which speaks about 7 domains: leadership, financial value, business model, stakeholder management, culture evolution, employee engagement, and tracking performance. Now, this is a big model, and I've offered several times presentations on the model itself, which takes an hour almost, okay? But the new strategy implementation professional certification, I believe this is a good thing to pursue for people who are in their above middle to higher management. This is important because this is where we can integrate both projects and operations to realize our strategy. And the one before the last model from Knowledge Management Institute, the ones who are responsible for the famous Certified Knowledge Manager, this is a framework for the learning organization. And why is it important that our organization is a learning organization? Because we don't have the privilege of paying for the same mistake twice. No. And whenever we have a success, we have to repeat the success. We have to capitalize on the success. We have to make it the norm. We have to find ways of keeping the knowledge within our organization, even when our top people leave the organization. And this gets me to the last poll. And in this poll, we are going to speak about the last aspect, which is digitalization. So let me just start the poll, okay? And in digitalization, I'd like to ask about digitalization and your organization. Number one, we did not address digitalization in a formal manner yet in our organization. Or 2, we established a vision, but it's just a vision right now. 3, no, we established a digital vision and started to work based on customer centricity. Number 4, we established a digital vision. We started working based on customer centricity, operation centricity, and culture centricity. And the last one, we jumped. Because they were ready when the pandemic came, they enabled all of us to communicate properly. So their digital empowerment for us became their key, if you like, digital value, and they grew because of that. So let us have a look at the results, and let me end the last poll. Okay. So look at it. 17% did not address digitalization, 19%, so almost 1/3 in the beginning. In the middle, we have 21% worked on the customer centricity. Now 33%, this is beautiful. Okay, we are working, 1/3 is working on the customer operation culture centricity, because these are drivers for digitalization. And the ones who actually started to reap results, 8%, congratulations, because we can learn a lot from you. This is our objective. So the last framework I'd like to speak about tonight is the ticking clock. And the ticking clock, this is established by two of my partners, Robin Speculand and Jeremy Blaine. They have what they call the ticking clock. Ticking clock, just because it resembles the framework, actually resembles the clock on how it looks. So it speaks about future thinking, establishing a digital vision, developing leadership in the digital mindset. Then from 3 to 9, it's a clock that goes only to 11, no 12. Centricity of operation and customer and culture, and speaks about everything from the architecture, the ecosystem, the data first approach, restructuring, protecting customer trust, becoming customer obsessed, adopting agility and agile, learning to experiment, and empowering employees. And this is not something you do in a linear manner. Maybe we have bits and pieces here and there. Again, we can spend a whole session just to discover about the ticking clock. Beautiful is that they have a full framework for that until we are future ready. We are future ready to reap the benefits of digitalization, where digitalization becomes not only an accelerator like Collins speculated 20 years ago. No, it becomes much more than that. It becomes a value generator. So by doing that, let me just review quickly. We have 7 frameworks. Start with the directors and sponsors. For both projects and operations, we should always start from leaders. Portfolio management to manage, not only focus on initiation, because what starts right can end right, whether it is in the business case or in the proposal lifecycle. Integrate both operations and projects by proper governance and integrated lifecycle management framework. Foster agile, nimble, adaptive culture. And finally, focus on digitalization. And the last quote today is by Jeff Bezos. If you do things where you know the answer in advance, your company goes away. We all have to do our best and take, like they say, a leap of faith. Do your best, think properly, do your best, and tawakkal ala Rabbil Alameen. And trust God. Then I believe even if we fail one or twice, one and beyond. The strategy for managing projects in 2021 and beyond. I'm happy to be the moderator, and I will have with me Amin Saidoun. He's the executive director for IPMA from the head office in Switzerland. Also, we'll have our dear friend, Dr. Mohammad Askar, representing Kuwait and KPMS. We'll have Behiji Turun, representing Istanbul Project Management Association, and Mustafa Hafizoglu, representing the PMO Summit, which will be on December 30, also at 8 p.m. Kuwait time. So I'd love to see you all, and this is the link here. I believe Mustafa can put the link in the chat area. And by this, we exceeded the time allocated. which of you who know me, you are accustomed to this by now, not a very good client of project management. But if we say we are working in a strategic manner, maybe this can be accepted if we get the benefits at the end.
Thank you so much, Dr. Saadi.
Thank you.
On behalf of KPMS, I would like to thank Dr. Saadi for the very wonderful presentation.
Thank you.
This was a bright start, honestly, for our partnership. And we really look forward for more cooperation in the future, inshallah.
Inshallah, looking forward for that.
Yes, before taking the questions, I would like to welcome the former president, co-founder and board member of KPMS, Engineer Wa'il Jassim. And if you have any reflections or comment, please take the mic.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Saadi, for the wonderful presentation. At the beginning, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the team from KPMS and the advisors who put this event together. And I'm very happy to see that this partnership is coming to fruition. For that, hats off to you. Actually, this is a very important topic for any organization, portfolio management, and what Dr. Saadi has presented here. Any organization reaching that level of maturity will definitely ensure success. I have not much to say. I think we should go ahead and open the floor for the Q&A for our attendees.
Thank you, Wa'il, my dear. I'm very happy. I know Wa'il from years back. He was the former president for KPMS, and we have been friends since then. And I thank him for introducing me to Dr. Mohammad Askar. And I'm very happy and proud to have my company advisors partner with KPMS. Inshallah, we're going to collaborate together for the spreading knowledge for the benefit of our people, our members, our communities, and our government. Okay.
So please go ahead, Mr. Abdul Muhsin.
I think if he's does not have the link to speak, maybe he needs either to type it or maybe Mustafa can give him access.
I saw the request and I think I had the authority, so I click right in front of his name.
Okay, he needs to log in then.
I might have something for you, if you allow me. If you have an organization that is not convinced of applying portfolio management and they like to do things the old way, Dr. Mohammad or Dr. Saadi, what advice would you have here?
Okay. Now, one thing, let me answer by giving you an answer I gave many times before. Many organizations establish PMO and they fail. In some cases, I tell them, don't call it a PMO. Just do the excellence functions and the best practices that work for you, whether the owner is another business unit, even if you do not call it the PMO. The important thing is not what we call it. Even if we don't call it PMO, maybe portfolio management, maybe some call it strategy implementation or strategic planning or strategy realization component that works with the board of directors and helps integrate operations and projects. As long as you do have this function or a similar function, okay, we are not fanatic for the terms or for following a specific framework. There is no one size that fits all, you see? But as long as the best practices that work are implemented there, we have no problem. Now, in this perspective, I would have a couple of questions to ask for the organization. If they are implementing these, if they have a governed way to select properly, to monitor properly, to integrate operations and projects properly, to realize benefits and realize value then in this and to do the needed and necessary digitalization, then you can consider these 7 or terminology. Maybe you don't know PMI or IPMA or Axelos or I don't know what, but you're doing things right. So if you're doing things right, then you should have the right assessment for you, for your organization. But what I've seen that everybody misses something. Nobody has everything. And there is room for everybody to grow. What do you think, Dr. Mohammad?
Well, similarly, on the same line, what I would say, it doesn't have to be at the same level of formality that of the projects that you are running and some information. And then you can do just some of the basic techniques of managing portfolios. That's what I would say.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. And one comment here to say is that yes, we don't live in a perfect world. We just have to go ahead with it. And I see some questions are coming up.
Yes, we had somebody joined us, Abdul Aziz.
Yes, we have level, if I'm not mistaken. That's my understanding.
Okay. Well, communities of practice are helpful if they include some leaders within. If you make a community of practice, for example, to learn or to spread the culture of managing benefit, or a project initiation, or project management, or portfolio management in general, and you keep the members and the work at the technical level in the organization, it will spread awareness downstairs. But if it is headed and participated by leaders of the organization, this will give the feedback and the impression that the leaders within the organization, they endorse this type of management and this type of discipline, and this will encourage others to go in this direction. This can be helpful if the concepts we're talking about are a little bit alien to the culture of a specific organization, to help spread the culture only if endorsed by some of the leaders on top. And this is not a replacement for having a strategy that capitalizes on these concepts, because this becomes like volunteerism. Those who like to join the community and practice with the community can do so. But it sure helps, because this community will do webinars and conferences from time to time. So it will spread the word, the message, the awareness, and do some necessary networking so that people are more aligned. Definitely, this is a positive point, but by itself, it's not enough.
If I may add here, Dr. Saadi, based on my experience with Kuwait Petroleum Corporation and subsidiaries a few years back, yes, we have implemented a program of communities with the support and sponsorship of top management, and yes, that did help improve the maturity of program and portfolio management within the organization.
Yeah. You said the key thing is because you have leadership, top management, endorsement, and support. Then it's a key message that this is what we want for the organization. So people will then go in that direction, and it helps. I believe Dr. Mohammad Abdul Aziz Al Qaoud, he joined us here with us. Would he like to ask something?
Abdul Aziz Al Qaoud. I don't notice.
He is with us on the session.
He's with us.
Yes. He's number 4.
Yes, I can see now.
Yeah. Can he turn on his mic and ask a question, please?
Yes, please go ahead, Mr. Abdulaziz. Can you operate the mic?
لا دكتور ما عندي أي سؤال. I don't have any question.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I think there are no further questions in the chat. So if you like, we can wrap it up, Dr. Saadi. So again, thank you so much for making this happen. Thank you for all, we call it in Arabic, الجنود المجهولين, all who have made this happen, whether it is from the side of KPMS or advisors. So we look forward for future cooperation, inshallah. And the final word, I give it to Dr. Saadi.
Thank you very much, my dear. It has been a privilege to collaborate together with your kind self, Dr. and our friend Wael, Santosh, and the ladies working with Santosh, all the teams, Mustafa, Fatima, Wael, our team on our side. I'm thankful for all. Looking forward to furthermore collaboration, inshallah, before 2021. We have a last session on December 30. I believe maybe Mustafa should have published the link for the session, so anybody can register. You are all welcome for that. Thank you very much, my dears. Maybe Wael has something to say before we leave as well.
Nothing much, except I see a lot of great people, in attendance. I noticed Al Zaytoun has joined.
Okay, yeah. Dr. Al, my friend. Yes.
Yeah, we're happy to see that.
Yeah, we're gonna get him to speak together soon, inshallah, with KPMS.
Let's work on that.
Yes,
Good
of
night.
Course.
Thank you
night.
so much.
Good night. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
See you all soon. Bye-bye.